Mic check. Mic check. Okay, how do I look? Good? Hey everybody, welcome back to Suburbs of Seattle. Today we're going to be talking about the potential problems you may face when buying a home. And today specifically, I'm going to cover 5 things. The first item on our list is when buying a home, you could be faced with some HOA restrictions if buying in an HOA community. Now this is really important. What you want to do before buying any property with any homeowners association is to read over the rules, restrictions, the conditions of the HOA, right? And what their expectations are from you. I recently talked to a lady who ended up purchasing a home a few years back with a different realtor, and the realtor told her that, hey, you can do Airbnbs in this neighborhood. So she bought it, she lived in it for a month or two, and then she decided to rent it out to Airbnb. Well, lo and behold, a few months later, she keeps getting notices from the HOA that, hey, we don't allow Airbnbs, we don't allow short-term rentals, and she got hit with a $5,000 fine. I've even talked to homeowners before that went so deep into having issues with the HOA where the homeowners association took over their property through the foreclosure process because the homeowner owed them so much in fees that they just ended up giving the property to them. So this is serious, people. You want to make sure that when buying a property so that you're aware of any potential issues regarding the HOA. Now, another thing that I've seen before, sometimes when you move into a HOA community with the goal of renting out your house in the future, sometimes homeowners associations have a restriction to where you have to live in the community for a year before renting out, and or they have what's called a rental cap. A rental cap is where the HOA sets the number of houses that can even be rented out. So let's say you take 100 homes in a community, they could have a restriction that only 25 could be rented at any given time. And you essentially just have to get on a list in order to be able to rent out your property. So with that, I'm going to conclude this question. But just know that when buying a home, make sure to read every single rule, make sure that you understand everything so that it doesn't bite you in the butt later. Insert butt biting meme, not a sexy one. The second potential problem you can face when buying a home is home inspection issues. Sometimes when you buy a property, you're faced with issues that pop up on the inspection that can derail the whole sale. Some of them being foundation or structural issues. These are the issues that I really would essentially run from the house unless the homeowner fixes them. Just know when you're buying a home, you're gonna have at least 100 to 150 pages probably of home inspection items. If you're buying a used home. If you're buying a new one, you're probably gonna have less. But nonetheless, what I'm trying to say here is, you have to understand what you're okay living with and what you're not okay living with. For instance, recently one of my clients, I got them in contract on a home. They ended up backing out because the sewer line was shot. It needed to be replaced. And the seller, they had lived there for 30 years. Their sewer technically still works, but is gonna give out at any moment. The seller didn't wanna negotiate with us and replace it, so my clients ended up backing out. You have to be clear on exactly what you're okay and what you're not okay living with. So make sure that you have the right expectations and knowing that, hey, honey, we're gonna have 100 items on this report. Let's just make sure that if we encounter foundation issues or sewer issues or a roof issue, if the seller is not willing to work with us on this one, we're gonna walk away, right? Know your boundaries. Now, this in part brings me to my third item of discussion when we're talking about potential problems when buying a home. One of the things people underestimate, and let me say that again, underestimate, is the amount of money, and believe me, I know, that goes into maintenance. Whew, I just bought my house recently in February, like I told you guys before. On the day of closing, right? On the day of closing, the kitchen flooded. In one of the houses, there's 3 houses, but anyways, in one of the houses, the kitchen flooded. We had to tear everything out. When we tore it out, we found black mold. We found structural support issues. We had to remedy everything in order to get the show back on the road and get the renters in there. So that was maintenance item number 1. Now we're tearing out 5,000 square foot of thorn bushes. My wife, of course, you know, it's the honey-do list, the also famous honey-do list. We're tearing out thorn bushes. We have to paint the property now because our paint is kind of wearing thin. We have to repair some of the asphalt. You have to mow the grass nonstop. All of these things cost money, right? We had like moles dig up like 20, 30 holes. Now we're trapping moles. So my point is, it all costs money, people. So expect to spend, I would probably say, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10,000 a year, maybe a bit less depending on your property, right? But maybe 5 to 10,000 a year in just maintenance, right? Painting the house, keeping it clean, lawn maintenance, etc. Could be even more than that. I'm definitely more than that on my property right now. So again, my point is, don't underestimate how much money you're gonna need to put into the property if you want to keep it in good condition and make sure that it's holding its value, okay? Now, point number 4 in potential problems that you may face when buying a home is financing challenges. And for this, you need to make sure that you have the right lender. Like I always say, I work with Oleg Koch at NFM Lending up in Linwood. Feel free to use him. I'll include his link down below as well. One of the best lenders in the nation, number 24 on the list out of all the lenders in the whole country. This guy knows what he's doing. You have to have a lender that knows what they're doing. And part of that, it means communication with you. I've seen so many deals not close. And when I mean not close, I mean buyers are packed up and the deal doesn't close because their lender forgot to do something. How would you like to be in that position where you're all packed up, kids are ready to go, the dog is ready, and the lender calls you and says, oh, we're so sorry, we can't close, we forgot to, whatever it is, order appraisal. Hopefully they did that by then, right? So you need to have a lender who knows what they're doing, who has an experienced track record. You know, Oleg, in this event, he has hundreds of homes that he funds a year. So you need to have somebody who knows what they're doing. Because if they don't, you'll run into problems. Moving on to the next one. Now, my last point for the day, when it comes to, again, potential problems you guys may face, is location issues. Specifically, location remorse, okay? You need to be sure of where you want to live and where you're okay with living. Sometimes I have clients and they say, hey, Andre, you know, we're approved for $500,000. We would like to live in a home in Bellevue, which is our east side, which is one of the most expensive sides out there. All you can get in Bellevue is probably a condo. That's about it, right? In that event, people are forced to sit down and figure out, okay, where the heck am I even okay living? Now, sometimes in a crazy market, people, especially when interest rates were low, people were overbidding hundreds of thousands of dollars for houses, and now they're living in a house that they don't really even love, but they can't get rid of because of the low interest rates that they had back then. So make sure that's not you. Make sure you're buying a house in a place that you're okay living in, okay? Make sure that when you're sitting down with your agent, you already know the specific cities, neighborhoods, communities that you're okay living in, and don't go outside of your boundaries that you set for yourself. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I will see you in the next one. And as always, I'm a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Washington. So for all of your buying and selling needs, call me at the number below. See you in the next one.